The red lights blinked on across the galaxy. In living rooms, bars, and entertainment centers on thousands of worlds, alien beings settled in to watch their favorite show. Tonight was special. Tonight they would watch another planet die, Commander. Taman stood on the bridge of the massive warship called the Dominator. He was tall and thin, with dark green skin and 4 arms. His job was simple but important. He made sure the cameras caught every moment of the attack. Every explosion. Every scream. Every last moment of hope before it died, for all the cameras. Ready? Taman asked his team. Burra, a short alien with blue fur, nodded quickly. Yes, Commander. We have cameras on 50 different ships. The viewers will see everything. Woojin, who looked like a giant spider but walked on 2 legs, checked his screens. The betting pools are already full. Everyone wants to guess how long the humans will last. Taman smiled. This was what he lived for. The Galactic Entertainment Network paid him well to film these invasions. Each planet they destroyed brought in more money, more viewers, more excitement. The network's most popular show was called Primitive Worlds Fall. For 10 years, aliens across the galaxy had watched as the Hegemony Alliance conquered planet. After planet, 200 worlds had already fallen. The viewers never got bored. Each planet fought differently. Each species had their own way of dying. How many are watching tonight? Taman asked. 50 billion confirmed viewers, BOR replied. Maybe more. The humans are popular. Everyone wants to see how they fight. Taman walked to the large window that looked out into space. In the distance, he could see Earth. It was a small blue and green planet. Pretty, but not special. The humans who lived there had only just learned to travel between stars. They had weak weapons and old ships. This would be easy. Admiral Kung Ho entered the bridge. He was massive, even for his species. His thick armor made him look like a walking tank. Red eyes glowed behind his helmet as he looked at the screens showing Earth. Commander Taman, the Admiral said in his deep voice. The network bosses have special orders for this invasion. What kind of orders? Taman asked. They want this to be the best show ever. They want drama. They want the humans to fight hard before they die. They want the viewers to feel something. Taman understood a quick victory was boring. The viewers wanted to see hope. They wanted to see the humans try their best. Then they wanted to see that hope crushed. It made better entertainment. How long should we let them fight? Taman asked. Maybe 3 days, the Admiral said. Long enough to make it interesting. But not so long that people get bored. On the screens around the bridge, Taman could see the human fleet. 50 small ships floated in space near Earth. They looked like toys compared to the Hegemony's 500 warships. The humans didn't stand a chance. The betting pools think the humans will last 2 days, Woojin reported. Most bets are on complete surrender after the first attack. Boring, Bjor said. I hope they fight longer. Good fights make good shows. As Taman had filmed many invasions, he remembered the bird people of Kestra Prime. They had fought for 6 hours. The rock creatures of Granite 7 had lasted 3 days. The water beings of Aqua 9 had surrendered. Without fighting at all, it had been the worst show of the year. What do we know about humans? Taman asked. Admiral Kunsho activated a hologram. Images of humans appeared in the air. They were small, pink creatures with only 2 arms and 2 legs. They looked weak. They fight with crude weapons, the Admiral explained. They have something they call nuclear bombs, but they're afraid to use them. They might damage their own planet. Emotional weakness, Woojin noted. That's good for entertainment. Viewers love to see creatures care about things. They also have something called families, the Admiral continued. They protect their young. They'll fight harder if their children are in danger. Taman nodded. This was perfect. The cameras would focus on the families. The viewers would see children crying. They would see parents trying to protect them. Then they would see them all die. It was a proven formula for high ratings. When do we start? Taman asked. In 1 hour, Admiral Kyung Ho said. The network wants the attack to begin during prime time? Maximum viewers? All across the galaxy, the excitement was building. Aliens were calling their friends. Families were gathering around their screens. Bar owners were advertising special drinks for the show. Some planets were having parties. On the planet Zarian, Group of slug-like creatures had bet their entire savings on the humans lasting less than 1 day. On Nebula Station, a famous alien comedian was preparing jokes about human weakness. The ringworld of Zentari children were being allowed to stay up late to watch the invasion. This is going to be the biggest show in network history, Biora said excitedly. The advertisers are paying triple rates. Taman felt proud. He had worked hard to get this job. Filming invasions was an art. He had to catch the right moments. The first explosion, the look of fear on the enemy's face, the moment when they realized they were going to lose. Commander Wu Jin said, "The humans are sending us a message." "Put it on screen," Taman ordered. A human appeared on the main screen. He was an older male with gray hair and tired eyes. He wore a simple uniform, with stars on his shoulders. "This is General Han Zol of the Earth Defense Force," the human said. "We know you're coming. We know you think we're weak. But we won't surrender. We won't run. If you want our planet, you'll have to fight for it." The message ended. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Then Admiral Kyung-ho laughed. "Perfect. The viewers will love this. They always enjoy it when the prey thinks it can fight back." Taman smiled and checked his cameras one more time. Everything was ready. The lights were on. The galaxy was watching. "Begin the invasion," Admiral Kyung-ho commanded. The show was about to start. The first explosion lit up the darkness of space like a new star. 50 billion viewers across the galaxy watched as the hegemony's massive cannons fired at Earth's small defense fleet. The show had begun. Beautiful shot. Taman called out as his cameras captured the moment. "Camera 3, zoom in on that burning human ship. I want to see the faces in the windows." On planets across the galaxy, aliens cheered. In the bars of Centauri Prime, creatures with tentacles for arms bought drinks for everyone. On the ice world, of Glacius families gathered around their screens and placed bets on how many humans would die in the first hour. Reporter Sujin stood next to Taman on the command bridge. She was young and excited, with bright purple skin and large eyes. This was her first major invasion broadcast. "This is Sujin reporting live from the Hegemony flagship," she said into her microphone. "The attack on Earth has begun. Already we can see 3 human ships destroyed. The humans are trying to fight back, but their weapons are too weak." The human fleet was moving strangely. Instead of flying straight at the Hegemony ships like most species did, they were spreading out. Some ships flew left, some flew right, some flew up and down. "What are they doing?" Biora asked, watching the screens. "Running away," Wu Jin said with a laugh. "I told you they were cowards." But Admiral Kyung-ho was not laughing. He had fought in many battles. Something about the human movement felt wrong. "Continue firing," he ordered. "But keep the ships spread out. Don't let them surround us." The Hegemony ships fired again. More human vessels exploded. The galaxy watched as burning metal and bodies floated in space. The viewers loved it. The ratings were climbing higher than ever. On Earth, first bombs fell on the city of Seoul. General Han Sol watched from his command center as buildings fell and people ran for shelter. But he did not look afraid. He looked angry. "Phase 1 complete," he said into his radio. "Begin Phase 2. Taman's cameras caught the bombing of Seoul perfectly. The explosions were huge. The fires were bright, the screams were loud. This was exactly what the viewers wanted to see. "Magnificent destruction," Sujin reported. "The human city is burning. Can see civilians running in the streets. This is entertainment at its finest." But something unexpected happened. As the Hegemony ships moved closer to Earth, the human fleet did something no one had seen before. The small human ships began to explode themselves. "What are they doing?" Bora gasped. One human ship flew straight at a Hegemony cruiser. Before it would have been destroyed, it exploded. But the explosion was not normal. It was bigger. Much bigger. The blast tore through the Hegemony ship's armor like paper. "Suicide attack!" Admiral Kyung-ho shouted. "All ships, keep distance." But it was too late. 3 more human ships exploded themselves against Hegemony vessels. Each explosion was massive. Each one damaged or destroyed a ship 10 times its size. The viewers were confused. This was not how invasions usually went. The defending species was supposed to try to survive. They were not supposed to throw their lives away like this. Interesting development, Wu Jin said, checking his data. Duh, the humans are using their own ships as weapons. Very creative. Taman adjusted his cameras. This was actually better than he had hoped. The viewers liked surprises. They liked it when the prey fought back in new ways. Get me close-ups of the human pilots, he ordered. I want to see their faces when they decide to die. The camera zoomed in on the human ships. Through the windows, they could see the pilots. They were young and old, male and female. But they all had the same look on their faces. They were not afraid. They were determined. On the planet Vortex, a group of alien gamblers stopped laughing. They had bet on the humans being cowards. Ow! They were watching humans sacrifice themselves to hurt their enemies. This was not cowardice. This was something else. The humans are using a new strategy, Sujin reported. They are turning their own ships into bombs. Very unusual. Very brave. She said the word brave like it tasted strange. The network did not usually use that word for the species they were destroying. The battle continued for hours. The human fleet was getting smaller, but so was the hegemony force. Every time a human ship died, it took a hegemony ship with it. The exchange rate was not what Admiral Kyun-ho had expected. How many ships have we lost? He asked. 23 came. The reply, the humans have lost 31. The Admiral frowned. They should have lost all 50 human ships by now, with almost no losses to themselves. These humans were fighting differently than other species. On Earth, the bombing continued. But the humans were not just running and hiding, they were fighting back. Anti-aircraft guns fired from hidden positions. Missiles rose from underground bunkers. The planet was fighting like a wounded animal. Camera 5, focus on that human military base, Taman ordered. They're still shooting at us. Cameras showed human soldiers manning guns on the ground. They were firing at ships in space, even though their weapons could barely reach them. It was hopeless, but they kept fighting. Foolish but entertaining, Wu Jin noted. The viewers like to see spirit before the end, but the spirit was not breaking. As the hours passed, more human ships arrived. They came from behind the moon, from asteroid fields, from places the hegemony had not expected. Each new ship fought with the same desperate courage as the first. Where are they coming from? Biora asked. Every human settlement, Admiral Kyung-ho said grimly. They're calling every ship home to fight. The viewers across the galaxy were getting more excited. Yes, this was not the quick victory they had expected. This was a real battle. The humans were losing, but they were making it cost something in the command center on Earth. General Hanzal watched the battle reports. Half of his fleet was gone. The cities were burning. Millions of people were dead. But he did not surrender. Let's send. The message to all ships, he said. Remember what we're fighting for. Remember who's watching. The message went out to every human ship. The galaxy is watching us die for their entertainment. Show them what humans really are. The battle was far from over. The aliens had wanted a show. Now they were getting one they would never forget. 3 weeks had passed since the invasion began. The hegemony had expected to be celebrating their victory by now. Instead, they were still fighting. The humans refused to give up. Colonel Jae-sung sat in his small office on the hegemony ship, called the Crusher. His desk was covered with reports that made no sense. The humans were using weapons that should not exist. They were fighting with technology that was impossible. How are they doing this? He muttered to himself as he read another report. A human fighter had just destroyed a hegemony cruiser with a single shot. The weapon it used was part human, part hegemony technology. He called his assistant, a young soldier named Kyungmin. Bring me the weapon samples from the last battle. Kyungmin brought in a metal box. Inside were pieces of human weapons that had been collected from destroyed ships. Jae-sung examined them carefully. Look at this, he said, holding up a twisted piece of metal. This is our shield technology. But the humans have changed it. They made it into a weapon. The truth was becoming clear. The humans had been stealing hegemony technology for months. Every time the hegemony attacked a human settlement, the humans learned something new. They were like students copying from a teacher's book. But how did they learn so fast? Kungmin asked. They're smart, Jasun said quietly. Smarter than we thought. On Earth, Captain Soyoung was preparing for the most dangerous mission of her life. She stood in the docking bay of the hidden human base on the moon, looking at her team of 20. Soldiers, they were all volunteers. They all knew they might not come back. Our target is the hegemony flagship, she told them. The ship called the Dominator. We're going to sneak on board and find their broadcast equipment. The plan was simple, but dangerous. Soyoung's team would pretend to be prisoners. They would let the hegemony capture them. Then, when they were brought to the flagship, they would break free and take over the ship. Why the broadcast equipment? Asked Sergeant Minsu. Because the whole galaxy is watching us die, Soyoung replied. It's time we showed them something different. The team climbed into a damaged human transport ship. They made it look like it was barely working. They sent out a distress signal, and they waited. The hegemony ship called the Talon found them an hour later. Just as planned, they were captured and brought to the Dominator. The alien soldiers thought they were bringing prisoners. They had no idea they were bringing danger. Back on the Dominator, Commander Taemin was having problems. The show was not going as planned. The humans had been fighting for 3 weeks. The viewers were getting bored. Some were even starting to change channels. The ratings are dropping, Biora reported. People want to see the humans lose. They're tired of watching the same battle every day. Taemin knew this was bad. If the ratings dropped too much, the network would cancel the show. He would lose his job. Worse, he would lose his reputation. We need something new, he said. Something exciting. That was when the alarm started ringing. Red lights flashed all over the ship. The computer voice said, "Security breach. Prisoners have escaped." Soyoung and her team had broken out of their prison cell. They were moving through the ship, fighting their way toward the bridge. They had studied the ship's design for weeks. They knew exactly where to go. Stop them. Admiral Kung Ho shouted, "Don't let them reach the broadcast center." But the humans were moving too fast. They had trained for this mission. They knew the ship better than some of the crew members did. Soyoung kicked down a door and found herself in a large room full of computers and screens. This was the broadcast center. This was where the galaxy's entertainment came from. "Dr. Minho, you're up," she said into her radio. Dr. Minho was not on the ship. He was back on Earth, in a secret underground laboratory. He was the smartest human alive when it came to alien technology. He had been waiting for this moment. "Ready." His voice came through the radio. "Connect me to their system." One of Soyoung's soldiers plugged a small device into the hegemony computer. Immediately, Dr. Minho's programs began to work. It was hacking into the Galactic broadcast network from billions of miles away. "I'm in," he said. "I can see their whole system. I can control their cameras." On planets across the galaxy, something strange happened. The normal broadcast from the Dominator suddenly changed. Instead of showing the battle from the hegemony's point of view, it began showing something else. The new broadcast showed human cities that had been bombed. But it also showed something the galaxy had never seen before. It showed humans helping each other. It showed families taking care of wounded strangers. It showed children sharing food with people they had never met. "What is this?" asked an alien viewer on the planet Nexus Prime. "It's how humans really live," said his friend, who had been watching quietly. The broadcast showed more. It showed human soldiers who could have run away, but stayed to protect civilians. It showed doctors working without sleep to save lives. It showed teachers keeping schools open even while bombs fell outside. But most importantly, it showed humans who knew they were being watched. The broadcast showed General Hanzal speaking directly to the camera. "You have been watching us die for your entertainment," he said. "You have been laughing at our pain. You have been betting on our deaths. But we want you to know something. Gat." He paused and looked directly into the camera. His eyes were tired but angry. "We know you're watching. We know you think this is funny. But we're not dying for your fun. We're dying for our children. We're dying for our future. And if you think that's entertaining, then you don't understand what it means to be alive." The broadcast continued. It showed humans fighting not because they were angry, but because they loved something. They loved their families. They loved their planet. They loved each other. Across the galaxy, the viewers began to feel uncomfortable. This was not the entertainment they had paid for. This was something else, something that made them think about their own lives. "Turn it off," someone said in a bar on Tau Ceti. But they could not look away. The broadcast was too powerful. Too real, too honest. The galaxy was about to learn what humans really were. The hijacked broadcast spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On every planet, in every home, aliens watched as humans showed them something they had never seen before. Entertainment had become something much more powerful. Commander Yunji floated in the darkness of space, surrounded by her team of human soldiers. They were about to attempt something that had never been done before. They were going to capture a hegemony dreadnought. "Remember," she whispered into her radio, "the whole galaxy is watching. Dr. Minho has made sure of that. Every move we make will be seen by billions of people." The dreadnought was called the Iron Fist. It was 3 miles long and carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Yunji's team had only 20 soldiers and some basic spacesuits. But they had something the aliens did not expect. They had nothing left to lose. "All cameras are recording," came Dr. Minho's voice through their radios. "I'm broadcasting this live to every planet in the galaxy." The team moved silently through space, using small jetpacks to fly toward the massive alien ship. The broadcast showed their approach from multiple angles. Viewers across the galaxy watched as the tiny human figures moved toward the giant vessel. On the planet Zarian, a group of slug-like aliens watched the screen in their local bar. "They're going to die," one of them said. "Ship has thousands of soldiers on it." But his friend was quiet. He had been watching the human broadcasts for days now. He was starting to understand something about these strange creatures. The humans reached the Iron Fist and began cutting through its armor with small tools. It should have been impossible, but they had learned to make human tools work with alien technology. The viewers watched as sparks flew in the darkness of space. "They're actually doing it," whispered an alien viewer on Centauri Prime. Commander Yunji was the first to enter the ship. She moved through the corridors like a shadow, her team following behind her. The broadcast showed everything: their careful movements, their hand signals, their determined faces. They reached the engine room first. While half the team stood guard, the others began to plant explosives. But these were not normal bombs. They were designed to disable the ship, not destroy it. "Wait, why aren't they trying to blow it up?" asked a young alien watching from his school on Vega Station. His teacher, an old creature with wise eyes, answered quietly, "'Cause they're not trying to destroy, they're trying to win." The first explosion shook the Iron Fist. The lights went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. Now the real fight would begin. Sergeant Dong Ho was in the corridor when the alien soldiers found them. He was a big man, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He had 3 children back on Earth. But when the aliens came around the corner, he did something that shocked the galaxy. Instead of running, he walked toward them. He was badly wounded and could barely stand, but he kept moving forward. The aliens fired their weapons, but Dong Ho did not stop. He had a grenade in his hand. "For my children," he said, and activated the explosive. The blast cleared the corridor, allowing his team to escape. But Dong Ho did not survive. The cameras caught his last moments. They showed his face as he smiled, thinking about his family. Across the galaxy, something changed. The viewers had seen many deaths during the invasion. But this was different. This man had chosen to die. He had sacrificed himself not for glory or honor, but for love. On the ice world of Glacius, a family of bear-like aliens watched in silence. The mother turned to her children and said, "That is what a father does." Lieutenant Yuna was in the ship's fighter bay when the counterattack began. Hundreds of alien soldiers were coming toward her position. She was alone, with only her small fighter plane and a few weapons. She could have tried to escape. The fighter was fast enough to get away. But the broadcast was showing her every move. The galaxy was watching, and she knew her team needed time to complete their mission. "Dr. Minho," she said into her radio, "make sure they see this." She climbed into her fighter and started the engines. But instead of flying away, she turned toward the alien soldiers. She accelerated, flying her ship directly into their formation. The explosion was massive. The fighter bay was destroyed. Dozens of alien soldiers were killed. But most importantly, Yuna had bought her team the time they needed. The broadcast showed it all. The galaxy watched as a young woman chose to die so her friends could live. They saw her face in the last seconds, not afraid, but determined, on the planet Nebula Station. An alien comedian who had been preparing jokes about human weakness put down his script. He could not make fun of this. No one could dock Commander Yunji. And her remaining team reached the bridge of the Iron Fist. They had lost half their people, but they had accomplished their mission. The ship was theirs. "This is Commander Yunji of the Earth Defense Force," she said, speaking directly to the camera. "We have taken control of the hegemony dreadnought Iron Fist, but we're not here to destroy it. We're here to send a message." She stood in the center of the alien bridge, surrounded by disabled computers and frightened alien crew members. Behind her, the stars shone through the large windows. "You have been watching us die for weeks," she continued. "You have been betting on our deaths. You have been laughing at our pain. But we want you to understand something." She paused and looked directly into the camera. "We are not your entertainment. We are not your show. We are people. We have families. We have dreams. We have hopes. And we will not die quietly while you watch." The broadcast showed the bridge of the captured ship. It showed human soldiers treating wounded aliens with kindness. It showed Youngji helping an injured alien officer to safety. "This is what humans do," she said. "Even to our enemies, we show mercy. Even in war, we remember our humanity." The galaxy watched in stunned silence. This was not the show they had paid for. This was something that made them look at themselves and wonder what they had become. In bars across the galaxy, aliens turned off their screens and went home. Children asked their parents difficult questions. Leaders began to wonder if they had made a mistake. The entertainment was over. The real story was just beginning. Captain Sung-ho sat in his small command room on the human battleship called Hope's Light. His communication officer had just given him the most surprising news of the war. They were receiving secret messages from across the galaxy. Messages that could change everything. "Show me the first one," Sung-ho said. The screen lit up with the image of an alien he had never seen before. It had blue skin, 6 arms, and large, sad eyes. When it spoke, its voice was quiet and careful. "This message is for the humans of Earth," the alien said. "My name is Kethra. I am from the Viridian system. 3 years ago, the hegemony destroyed our worlds. We watched your broadcast. We remember what it felt like to fight for our families. We want to help." Sung-ho stared at the screen. This was impossible. The hegemony controlled all communication in the galaxy. How was this alien sending messages to Earth? "There are more messages," his officer said. "Hundreds of them." The next message was from a creature that looked like a giant insect. "We are the Zephyrian Collective," it said. "The hegemony enslaved our people 5 years ago. Your broadcast has given us hope. We have hidden weapons. We can send them to you." Another message showed a group of rock-like beings. "We are the survivors of Granite 7. The hegemony told the galaxy we were all dead, but some of us escaped. We have been waiting for someone to stand up to them. You have shown us the way." Captain Sung-ho could not believe what he was seeing. All across the galaxy, species that had been conquered by the hegemony were watching the human broadcasts. And they were not just watching. They were being inspired. Engineer Yujin was working in the basement of a destroyed building in Seoul. Above her, the city was still burning from the hegemony's bombs. But down here, she was building something that would change the war. "It is almost ready," she told her team. "Once we activate it, the hegemony won't be able to stop our broadcasts." Yujin had spent weeks studying alien technology. She had learned how to build quantum communication relays that could bounce signals through multiple star systems. Even if the hegemony destroyed one relay, the signal would find another path. "How many relays do we have?" asked her assistant. "A young man named Jun-Ho, 57, Yujin replied. "Hidden on asteroids, on abandoned space stations, even on some of the hegemony's own ships." She smiled as she connected the last wire. The humans had been learning from their enemies, but now they were teaching the galaxy something new. The relay activated with a soft hum. Immediately, the human broadcast became stronger. It could now reach parts of the galaxy that had never seen it before. More importantly, it could not be stopped. On the hegemony flagship, Admiral Kyung-ho was having the worst day of his military career. His communication officer had just told him that they could no longer control the human broadcasts. "What do?" "You mean we can't stop them?" the admiral demanded. "They're using our own communication network against us," the officer explained. "Every time we try to cut their signal, it appears somewhere else. It's like they're inside our own systems." Kyun-ho walked to the large window of his ship and looked out at Earth. The small blue planet was still fighting after 3 weeks. His mighty fleet had lost over 100 ships, and now the humans were turning the galaxy against him. "Sir," another officer called out, "we're receiving reports from across the galaxy. Several systems are refusing to send reinforcements. Some are even pulling their ships back." The admiral's face grew dark. This was more than a military problem. This was a political disaster. On the planet Zarian, slug-like aliens who had bet against humanity were having an emergency meeting. Their leader, a large creature named Block Stew, was reading reports from across their territory. "The people are asking questions," he said to his council. "They're asking why we supported the hegemony. They're asking why we enjoyed watching others die." One of the council members shifted nervously. What do we tell them?" "I don't know," Block Stew admitted. "The human broadcasts have changed everything. People are starting to think about what we've been doing." Similar conversations were happening on planets across the galaxy. The human broadcasts had done more than just show the war they had made. People think about their own choices. Dr. Minho was working without sleep in his underground laboratory on Earth. He had been awake for 3 days, managing the broadcast network and coordinating with alien allies. His eyes were red and his hands shook from exhaustion, but he would not stop. "Doctor," his assistant said, "you need to rest." "No time," Minho replied. "Look at this." He pointed to his screens, which showed communication traffic from across the galaxy. The numbers were incredible. "We're receiving support from 47 different species," he said. "Some are sending weapons. Some are sending medicine. Some are just sending messages of hope." The assistant looked at the data in amazement. "How is this possible?" "'Cause we showed them the truth," Minho said. "For years, the galaxy watched other species die for entertainment. But no one ever showed them what those species were really fighting for. We showed them love. We showed them sacrifice. We showed them what it means to be alive." On the hidden space station, called Haven's Rest, a group of alien refugees watched the human broadcasts together. These were survivors from worlds that the hegemony had destroyed. They had been hiding for years, afraid to fight back. But now they were talking about something they had not discussed in a long time. They were talking about going home. "The humans are right," said Velna, a survivor from the Andorian colonies. "We don't have to hide anymore. We can fight." An old alien from the Tau system nodded slowly. "My grandchildren have never seen our home world. They think we're just refugees. Maybe it's time to show them what we really are." Across the galaxy, the human broadcasts were having effects that no one had expected. People who had been silent were starting to speak. People who had been afraid were finding courage. People who had given up were remembering hope. The hegemony had controlled the galaxy through fear and entertainment. But the humans had introduced something more powerful. They had shown the galaxy what it meant to fight for something bigger than yourself. The war was far from over, but the galaxy would never be the same again. The final battle began at dawn on Earth. Admiral Hanwoo stood on the bridge of the human flagship called Earth's Promise, watching as ships from across the galaxy gathered around the moon. 3 months ago, humanity had fought alone. had allies from 47 star systems. Admiral, his communication officer, reported, "The Zephyrian fleet has arrived. 200 ships. The Viridian survivors are here too," added another officer. 150 vessels. Hyanwu nodded. It was strange to see alien ships fighting alongside human vessels. Ships that had once been enemies were now friends. All because of what the galaxy had seen in the broadcasts on the other side of the moon. Admiral Kyunjo prepared his own fleet for the last battle. The hegemony had called in ships from across their empire. 5,000 vessels surrounded Earth, ready to end this war once and for all. "This time we finish it," Kyunho said to his officers. "No cameras, no broadcasts. We destroy everything." But he was wrong about the cameras. Dr. Minho had hidden broadcast equipment on asteroids, on space stations, even on some of the hegemony's own ships. The galaxy would watch this final battle whether the hegemony wanted it or not. Captain Jinna flew her fighter through the darkness of space, leading a squadron of human and alien pilots. Her ship was small and fast, perfect for the mission ahead. She was going to attack the hegemony flagship personally. Remember she said to her pilots, "We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for everyone who has ever been conquered. Everyone who has ever been used for entertainment." Behind her flew pilots from a dozen different species. Some were survivors of destroyed worlds. Some were refugees who had hidden for years. All of them had been inspired by the human broadcasts. To fight back, the battle began with a flash of light that could be seen from Earth. 5,000. Hegemony ships fired their weapons at once. The human and alien alliance had only 800 vessels. But they fought with a fury that surprised everyone. On planets across the galaxy, billions of people watched the broadcast. This was not entertainment anymore. This was history being made. "Look at them fight," whispered an alien child on Centauri Prime. "They're not afraid." Her mother watched quietly as human ships flew directly into hegemony formations, breaking them apart. The humans had learned that sometimes the best defense was a strong attack. Admiral Hyanwu guided his fleet through the chaos of battle. The odds were against them, but they had something the hegemony did not. They had hope. They had allies. They had a reason to fight that was bigger than themselves. "All ships," he announced over the radio, "remember what we're fighting for? Not just our world, but for a galaxy where no one watches others die for fun." The words were broadcast live to every planet in the galaxy. Children heard them in their schools. Workers heard them in their factories. Leaders heard them in their government buildings. Captain Jinna and her squadron reached the hegemony flagship, called the Destroyer. It was the largest ship in the enemy fleet, bristling with weapons and shields. But Jinna had a plan. "All fighters, follow me," she said. "We're going straight for the bridge." It was a suicide mission. The flagship had hundreds of defensive guns. But as Jinna's fighters approached, something unexpected happened. Other ships began to follow them. Human destroyers, alien cruisers, even small cargo ships joined the attack. "What are they doing?" Admiral Kung Ho demanded as he watched his screens. His communication officer looked confused. "Sir, it appears that every ship in the Alliance fleet is targeting us. The entire Allied fleet was converging on the flagship. We're abandoning the rest of the battle to focus on one target." It was tactically foolish, but it sent a powerful message. Jinna's fighter was the first to break through the flagship's defenses. Her ship was damaged and smoking, but she kept flying. Behind her, hundreds of other ships followed. "This is Captain Jinna of the Earth Defense Force," she said. Her voice carried across the galaxy by Dr. Minno's broadcasts. "We didn't ask for this war, but we'll finish it. This is for every world you've destroyed. This is for every species you've silenced. This is for everyone who has ever been treated as entertainment." Her fighter crashed into the bridge of the hegemony flagship. The explosion was massive. The ship's shields failed. Its weapons stopped firing. And for the first time in the war, Admiral Kyung-ho felt fear. The battle lasted 6 more hours. When it ended, the hegemony fleet was destroyed. The survivors surrendered. The war was over, but the real victory was not military. It was what happened next, on the planet Zarian. The slug-like aliens overthrew their government and established a new democracy. On Centauri Prime, the tentacled creatures banned gladiatorial combat and execution entertainment. On Glacius, the bear-like aliens passed laws protecting refugees and prisoners of war. Across the galaxy, species that had been silent for years began to speak up. Governments that had supported the hegemony fell. New alliances formed between worlds that had never cooperated before. Commander Taman sat in a small office on Earth, working for the new Galactic Liberation Alliance. He was still a broadcaster, but now he filmed different things. Instead of invasions and deaths, he recorded peace treaties and reconstruction efforts. "How does it feel?" asked his interviewer, a human journalist named So-Ra, Tay-Min, thought for a moment before answering. "For years, I filmed death and called it entertainment. I watched species die and thought it was fun. But the humans taught me something." "Did they teach you?" "They taught me that every life has meaning. Every death has cost. When you watch someone die for fun, you lose part of your own soul." The interview was broadcast across the galaxy. It was watched by millions of people who had once enjoyed the invasion shows. Many of them felt ashamed, but many also felt hopeful. Dr. Minho continued to manage the broadcast network, but now it carried different messages. Instead of showing wars, it showed planets being rebuilt. Instead of showing conquest, it showed cooperation. Instead of showing death, it showed life. Network was renamed the Galactic Hope Network. Its most popular show was called Worlds United, which featured different species working together to solve problems. The old hegemony territories became the Galactic Liberation Alliance. Earth became its headquarters, not because humans were in charge, but because they had shown the galaxy what it meant to fight for something bigger than yourself. Years later, children across the galaxy learned about the Earth War in their schools. They learned how a small planet had stood up to an empire. They learned how entertainment had become inspiration. They learned how love had conquered fear. The galaxy would never forget the humans who had refused to die quietly. They had wanted a show, and humanity had given them one that changed everything. Part 2. The broadcast begins. The invasion launches with tremendous fanfare. Across the galaxy, viewers tune in to witness humanity's destruction. The hegemony deploys 500 warships against Earth's modest defensive fleet of 50 vessels, confident in their overwhelming superiority. Reporter Sujin provides live commentary from the command bridge as the first wave of attacks begins. Initial footage shows human cities burning and military installations crumbling under orbital bombardment. The alien audience cheers as casualty reports climb into the millions. However, something unexpected happens during the assault on Sol. Human forces, led by General Hansel, employ tactics never seen before in galactic warfare. Instead of conventional fleet engagement, they use guerrilla space tactics, turning debris fields into weapon platforms and converting civilian ships into suicide bombers. The entertainment value skyrockets as humans demonstrate unprecedented creativity in warfare. What was meant to be a quick extermination becomes a grueling battle of attrition. Viewer ratings break all previous records as audiences become fascinated by human ingenuity and determination. Part 3. The tables turn. 3 weeks into the invasion, the hegemony realizes they've underestimated humanity. Colonel Jae-Sung discovers that humans have been reverse engineering hegemony technology from previous raids, creating hybrid weapon systems that their enemies can't counter. The pivotal moment comes when Captain So-Young leads a desperate assault on the hegemony's flagship. Her team infiltrates the ship and discovers the extent of the Galactic Broadcast Network. They realize the entire galaxy has been watching their world burn for entertainment, in a stroke of brilliant psychological warfare. The humans hack into the Gen Network. Dr. Minho, Earth's leading cybernetics expert, manages to hijack the broadcast feed and begins transmitting humanity's own message directly to the billions of viewers across the galaxy. The message is simple but devastating. You watched us die for your entertainment. Now watch us fight back. Part 4. Earth's counter-broadcast. The hacked transmission shows the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of, instead of the expected surrender. Viewers witness human forces launching a coordinated counterattack that catches the hegemony completely off guard. Commander Yunji leads the first successful boarding action against a hegemony dreadnought. The live footage shows humans fighting with a ferocity that shocks alien audiences. They see soldiers like Sergeant Dong Ho charging into certain death to protect evacuation ships, and pilots like Lieutenant Yuna ramming their fighters into enemy vessels. The broadcast reveals the human capacity for sacrifice and unity in the face of extinction. Cities destroyed in the first wave have been rebuilt underground, with civilians working around the clock to produce weapons and supplies. Children like young Hae-won help manufacture ammunition, while elderly citizens like Professor Namsu decode alien technology.